But as Tania Page reports, the guy brimming with confidence was once the skinny kid who was bullied in high school. We catch up with Israel as he warms up for the biggest fight of his life.
There's a switch that happens slowly. I start to get real cold. And nerves, they can consume you because there'll be like the bubbles and nerves coming up in there.
And you start to hear the crowd, and everything is telling you not to walk. Everything's saying don't. It doesn't make sense to walk out there. It makes no sense at all. But you know you have to do it.
We're on in 10, 9, 8,
7, 6.
That's the moment for me where I'm like, you can either rise or run. There's just this tension and it's just real, it's palpable, or you can taste it. And for me, that's when like I start to like, I shock you.
I can feel it. I'm there.
In just 15 months, Israel Adesanya has become an international UFC superstar. Touted as the future of the sport, he's unstoppable in the ring, outspoken outside it.
I don't care if you're, you know, what race, orientation of sexuality, or what religion or anything, you know. I'm Mr. Worldwide. But I'm also proud of my heritage, of my black skin, of a guy who comes from a line of warriors, of kings, of royalty.
So when he comes home, do you try and fatten him up?
Oh yeah.
All the time.
He may be king in the ring, but back home in the Manawatu, Mum is the boss. Israel comes home especially for it.
Oh yeah.
It looks forward to it.
Israel is the eldest of 5 kids.
We eat Nigerian food almost every day.
They were all born in Nigeria, West Africa.
Life was good. The children were doing well. But we decided we needed an overseas experience for the children, especially because of their education. So we decided that we were going to migrate, just for the better life.
When Israel was 10, they moved to New Zealand.
Busy?
Oh, mad.
Mum Tai is a nurse in A&E at Wanganui Hospital, while Dad Femi is a chartered accountant.
We feel at home here. We've lived here in Wanganui now for 13 years, and I can only say good things about the place.
But for Israel, it wasn't always all good.
Was it hard for you to fit in here?
Yeah, definitely. And I was trying my hardest to fit in, but I mean, you look at me, I'm not really born to fit in. I stand out like a sore thumb. I didn't realize I was black till I moved here because I knew I was black, obviously. I knew my skin color was dark, but I never knew it was a problem till I moved to New Zealand and kids were always picking on me. And I was like, well, what's up, why? I remember a kid from school kept on riding past my house and going, go back to your country, Blackalese.
High school was even worse.
So if the library was here and a tuck shop was here, and you'd go like a rat around the edge of the school, the field, all the way around. Like, you know how a rat kind of scurries through the edge of the walls? Just so I didn't get picked on or I didn't get seen.
I was surprised. The reason means that most of these things, when it happened, he didn't tell us.
Israel decided he needed to take action.
So this is where it all began. Yeah. This is the first Muay Thai gym I attended. The boxing gym was just right there, actually. Yeah, humble beginnings.
Did the bullying and racism you experience lead you here?
It led to it, definitely. But when I moved to Wanganui, there's not really much black people at the time, so I was like, well, I need to protect myself.
Did your mum and dad know what you were up to?
Not really, no. I think they didn't find out till close to my first fight.
I wanted him to be an accountant.
He's about as far from an accountant as you can get.
In 2009, Israel entered a martial arts tournament in Auckland. It would change his life.
And I begrudgingly agreed to help a guy that I'd never even met. And I went to the fight and had a quick chat to him and stuff.
Coach Eugene Berryman was distinctly unimpressed the first time he saw Israel fight.
That was a terrible fight. I said whatever positive thing you could say to him to get out of that, like, yeah, and then I moved on and we went our own ways, yeah.
Israel saw things very differently. He might have lost the fight, but he'd finally found his calling.
And he came into the room one morning to say, I'm out of here, I'm going to Auckland to pursue my fighting career. I said, what? My wife started crying.
What did you think?
Oh my God. And we tried our best to talk him out of it. He was adamant that that was what he wanted to do.
We had no choice but to support him. It was difficult because he had no job and he wouldn't take any living allowance from government. So we had to support him.
He pretty much just walked through the door. I was like, hey, how's it going?
You're that guy that got a hiding.
Yeah. I was like, hey, good to see you again. And he was like, I've come up here to train. I've put everything that belongs to me in my back of my car, and I've driven up here to come and train at your gym.
But there was more, much more.
He alluded to me very early on when I met him that he wanted to be in the UFC.
The UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship. Big stadiums, big stars, big money. It's brutal, and only the very best get in the cage. Israel was convinced he could do it.
What do you think of that? Very confident.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not used to that type of confidence, so you do walk away from conversations like that just thinking, you know, here's another idiot coming in off the street sort of thing.
But this guy was different.
I remember the first time he held pads for me. I think he was impressed with what he saw, but he never tried to, like, he corrected me, but never tried to change me. What Eugene did was, look, okay, you're crazy, but we can work with that.
How hard are some of those kicks and punches?
Pretty hard, yeah, pretty hard. Especially guys like him that have the thinner legs, that really cut through the pads there. That's it. Yes, he showed talent, but the more important thing that he showed was the commitment and the dedication. He showed heaps of athletic potential for it, man. If this guy has the mental fortitude to become a fighter, to become a martial artist, he can go a long way. We started to put a plan in place to get him into the UFC and to the stage that he is now.
But to do that required a really extreme form of training, and we're the first ones allowed to film it.
Slam it, slam it, slam it.
They have to push him beyond his limits.
10 seconds. Go, 10.
It's a scary, scary thing. We create a worst-case scenario environment.
That's it, ready. Change. Go. On no, Siggy, fight, Siggy. Yeah, and back up.
Israel has to face multiple fighters, one after another, for 25 minutes.
It's going to come down to who's got the biggest gas tank. It's got to be you. It has to be you.
There's like 6 or 7 of them waiting. They're coming in absolutely amped and fresh, and Israel's in there for the whole time.
Pilot. One more.
So for me, I feel like if they can't break me mentally, then one man can't break me mentally.
You keep moving.
It's just so intense.
If you come through that, you can come through anything that's going to happen to you.
It leaves Israel shattered physically and emotionally.
I just saw everyone like there and they were still supporting me, so it just makes you feel appreciated. You just sweat, my eyes are sweating still.
Damn sweaty eyes. I get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I feel being vulnerable and being strong enough to show your emotions is masculine, and it makes me strong. And if anyone doesn't like it, they can find me. No, I'm playing.
Is it any wonder that in just 6 fights, Israel Adesanya has gone from relative unknown to one of the biggest UFC stars on the planet?
You look at any of my fights, I'm having fun, like literally. And it's weird to say because I'm hurting someone, but I'm not having fun hurting someone. I'm just having fun displaying my skills. And people can't separate that sometimes. They think, oh, you just like to beat people up for fun. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm the worst.
It looks really violent.
It is very violent.
Are you a violent guy?
Not even close, I swear. You see anyone try, like, people try me all the time, and I just, like, avoid conflict at every turn.
Avoids conflict, maybe, but he's blunt, he's brash, and when you've got 1 million followers on Instagram alone, it's a fine line.
Honestly, I just, like, be me, because think about it, you can't please everyone. So if I'm always trying to please people, then I stay away from my true self and me expressing myself.
As your profile gets bigger, can you understand why some people might take offence?
Yeah, definitely, because I'm moving now into a mainstream audience, like more of a household name than I am before. I'm responsible for what I say. However they understand it, that's their problem, so yeah.
Unapologetic and edgy, he's a bona fide superstar, but very Kiwi about it.
Do you feel like you've made it?
Nope, still feel the same. Look at me. This is how I go to pack and save. Sometimes I go to, like, after a walk like this, I want to go get some things for tonight for dinner. And I go to pack and save like this, like bare feet, muddy, and it kind of hides me in plain sight because I look homeless. And I can, like, sometimes I can hear people, like, in the other aisle, like, is that him? Nah, it's not him. Nah, he's got no shoes on. I believe I'm going to win, and I know I'm going to win. But the thing is, when I say it, I know it. I know it.
The very last thing we do is we have a hug. No words are spoken, but 1 million things are said.